In today's Life of a Writer video, I want to talk about consistent sales. How do we reach that place where our book sales feel steady, they feel reliable, rather than that feast or famine place that many writers find themselves in, where there's a whole period of no book sales and real despair, and then maybe a burst, and then nothing again. So let's dive in today, folks. Consistent sales for writers. Here's the thing. The secret to consistent sales is consistency. What I want to talk about is really what might be behind your current actions if you're not achieving those consistent sales, and what needs to be behind your actions in order to have that steady flow. And it really comes down to consistency, but in a few specific areas. So I want for you to start to think about your audience. Now, it might be that you're watching this video and you're thinking, audience? What audience? I haven't got an audience. So that's that first place of consistency. Consistency in building that audience, in nurturing that audience. The second area is in the relationship that you are generating between you and your readers, you and your audience, you and your potential customers. And again, consistency is key here. And then the final area of consistency is really about that long-term journey in your career as a writer. So let's dive into some of this today. Firstly, when you're thinking about growing that audience and that consistency. So I find that for me on the channels that I'm active on and growing and nurturing my audience, so my audience are writers, they're entrepreneurs who are looking to learn about marketing or looking to learn about how to sell more books, or I work with people who are designing courses or programs to sell online. So I'm growing an audience of people who fit that description. And I will be showing up every day. I will be showing up every day, having conversations with them. I will be putting social media content out. I will be looking online under certain hashtags to see if I can meet new people who might be perfect candidates to join my audience. But that consistency is really key. And here's the thing I notice when people reach out to me saying, oh, my audience isn't growing. I don't know how to build an audience around my books, or sometimes because I do work with people who sell things other than books, so growing an audience around my products. When I look at their social media platforms, the first thing I notice is that they are not posting consistent content. Now, you might be watching this video thinking, oh, what a drag. I really don't want to be on social media every day, and I don't want to have that consistency. But here's where we come to that really simple phrase, which is what's behind your current actions and what needs to be behind consistent actions. And that's mindset. So if your mindset is like, oh, I hate social media, oh, I really hate this idea of growing an audience, we might call this a negative mindset, or we might even begin to see that there are some beliefs around showing up consistently online. You're like, well, I just don't believe there's any point. I don't believe that it works. And so that mindset is so key when it comes to consistency. So it's not simply about jump on Twitter every day and tweet. It's actually about be really intentional about the way that you are on Twitter so that you enjoy it, so that you get value from those engagements that you have on Twitter, so that you really get fulfillment from the people that you're meeting and connecting with. So it isn't simply a series of actions to make sure that you're posting content every day, but it's really a deep connection to within to make sure that your mind and your heart are really aligned so that you're feeling consistent when you're taking that action. So that's that first area, this idea of consistency with growing and building that audience. The second area is that consistency in nurturing that relationship. Because it might be that you have a series of giveaways. So it might be that people are coming onto your email list and you're, well, gosh, you know, I sent out an email newsletter last month, but I don't know, life gets so busy and I haven't really put an email out for a couple of months now. And again, I see this so often where a writer will literally only send an email when they've got something to sell, or a creative will only send a message to the names on their email list when they are promoting something or when they've got a product to talk about. And so people will be really aware of that. What kind of relationship is that if the only time people hear from you is when you're like, buy this, come and sign up for this? People want to get to know you. In order to have those consistent sales, you need to deepen those relationships so that people are consistently hearing from you. And I want to really make clear here, you're not consistently telling them about buying your book. What you're doing is consistently emailing the people on your list and sharing things with them. And there's another video where I talk about the difference between selling and sharing that you might want to check out as well if you're like, wait, what does it mean to share? But so for example, if I take my email list, the writers, the creatives, the entrepreneurs that sign up for that, each week they will get motivation, they will get inspiration, they get access to a free community on Facebook, they get access to free live interviews with industry professionals, they get access to free masterclasses that I offer several times a year. So there's loads of really lovely goodies. And then every so often when my program opens and I've got coaching spaces available, I will say, hey folks, guess what? You know, doors are open. I'm offering spaces on my coaching program, or it might be that it comes around to one of my quarterly retreats. And so again, I might say, hey folks, guess what? You know, one of my retreats is coming up. We've got a few spaces available. So for me to start selling, it's a rare thing. Usually what I'm doing in those emails is sharing, I'm educating, I'm giving people behind the scenes insight, and I'm giving them access to really beautiful content. And that content is nutritious. It's not content that's selling, it's content that's just full of information and full of what I know my audience really loves. So that's that second place of consistency. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to send out an email newsletter every week. That might feel too much for you. So again, what's wrong and what's right? The most important thing is consistency. So if right now all you feel able to commit to is a monthly newsletter, then great, commit to a monthly newsletter. But here's the thing, your newsletter doesn't have to be a long essay. So you might say, okay, well, I can commit to sending an essay or a personal newsletter once a month, but perhaps every fortnight you might just simply send something motivational, like a motivational quote or an image that you put together, so a slightly shorter email. I would definitely say that you want to really think about fortnightly for that consistency. Once a week is great because people are going to be regularly hearing from you, so you're always going to be clear in their minds. So that's that second place, that really nurturing your audience. So it's going to happen through emails. It's also going to happen through perhaps a Facebook community, posts in your Facebook group, or a weekly blog. We've got a helicopter flying overhead here. Hope it's not drowning me out. I'm going to wait for it to just whiz on by. And then that third area of consistency, which is when we're really sort of drawing it all together, and there's where we're starting to pull into that, how do we then create those consistent sales from it? And so that's when you're panning out and you're thinking, right, well, what's my year going to look like? And when am I going to start offering things for sale? When am I going to pull back and just offer nutritious content? So you want to get a sense of the rhythm that you're creating so that you know that, okay, there's going to be a few weeks where I'm just going to be connecting with people and nurturing them and getting to know them. And then it might be that towards the end of the month, that's when you might put a call to action, you might put a special offer on your book. It might be that you do a special live in your Facebook community where you do a reading from your book and then you're encouraging people to head on over and make a purchase. So that way you know that each month there is that sort of wave to encourage people to buy, and then you retreat back, and then you're just engaging, you're connecting, you're building those relationships, and again you're building up to that second wave. And so you've really got a sense of when you're calling people to make that purchase, and you're making sure that you're doing that regularly throughout the year. And you will find that it's the consistency in between those calls to purchase that make the moments that you are asking people to buy much more fruitful, rather than, oh my God, I just sent an email out saying that my book was on offer and crickets, nobody bought anything. That's not a sign that your book isn't any good. It's simply a sign that you haven't been consistent in growing that audience and in building those relationships. So either when people see you online, they don't really know who you are, so they don't care, or when they receive your email, they haven't received an email for 6 months, and so they're not inspired to open it. So my friends, that is the key to consistent sales. It's consistency in those areas, but really specifically to make sure what's behind the consistency. So that mindset point is really important. How are you approaching it? What are you thinking? What are you saying to yourself? Now again, let me know in the comments below what challenged you about this. Often people do get challenged when I talk about being consistent online. Do you have an email list? Are you like, wait, I don't even know how to develop an email list? Pop your comments, pop your questions in the comments below. I love to hear from you. I read all of the comments, and it's always really nice to give people personal advice. And if you like the idea of the community that I was mentioning, if you like the idea of joining my email list, you will find a link to the Write No Matter What community. It's a really safe, nurturing online space. And if you feel that you would love support, accountability, mentorship, and access to all of my freebies, then you are going to love joining the community, and we would love to have you with us. So you will find a link for that below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Come join us. Make sure that you're catching these weekly videos and really making sure that you are creating and living and earning just the way that you want as a writer. Really nice to share this video with you today. Have a great week. See you on the next one.